Hi, this is Tina from Cafe Crop, and I'm here today to show you how to make these adorable gnomes using our Kiwi Lane template sets, the accessories template called Celebrate and the accessories template called Tiny Celebrate. The difference in these is the size of the shapes. These are designed for like pages, or it could be one element on a card. These are smaller and designed to fit multiple elements on a card. So you can see, I'll put this up close, all of the different shapes. The same shapes are in both sets, just different sizes. So let me show you what that looks like. These are the shapes that we are going to use out of the sets today. And so this is the regular accessories and this is the tiny accessories, so you can get an idea of the size. The ones on this package, these two packages here, are using the tiny Celebrate shape. So let me show you how to get them made. I'm going to start with a white paper for the beard, and I'm going to go ahead and trace these shapes right onto here, and you can trace them any direction you want. With the white, it really doesn't matter because when you cut them out, you can use either side. When you cut out your printed paper, you may want to be more thoughtful about which way, because that's the way your hat is going to go onto your gnome, depending on how you have your template flipped, unless it's double-sided, and you can decide then which side you want to use. So once we've got that traced on our white, we're also going to trace on our printed paper. Now I happen to snag some one-sided paper here, and I'm just going to trace that as well. If you're tracing on double-sided paper where you've got a design on both sides, I would suggest deciding which side you want showing on your gnome hat and then trace on the other side so you don't have to worry about pencil marks showing. So I also like to try and figure out if there's a way I can use my paper to the fullest before I trace. Alright, once you have these traced, all you need to do is cut them out. It's pretty simple to cut all of the shapes out. These are nice, easy lines to follow. I'm just going to trim around them here. And I don't worry about whether it's perfect or not. In a moment, we're going to actually ink the edges so that it will hide any imperfections in cutting. So I would go ahead and cut out all of the shapes. I've already pre-cut some of them, so you don't have to watch me cut. But now I've got a shape that I've cut out of colored paper and the white for the beard. Well, I don't want to put it down quite like that. I want to make the little arc for the hat. So you can do one of two things. You can either freehand cut it, which is what I typically do. I don't worry too much about how perfect it is. Or you could take your actual shape that you use the bottom curve of it, and trace that if you wanted to, and make an arc that way, and then cut along that. So I typically just freehand it. I think it gives it a little character because no one puts their hat on the same way. And then I'm going to place it and decide where I want to put it on my gnome beard. So you can decide, I try and kind of line up my edges right here and here to be right about the edge or just slightly over. And then what I do, so that I don't have to guess as to where to put it again, and I know where to cut my beard, I just lift up the edge and I make a bit of a mark. So you can just see a light mark there, a little bit of an arc. And then if I'm doing multiple at the same time, I will take the two pieces and I will number them so that I know these go together, because I made several dozen tags to go on gifts, and I wanted to not have to guess, okay, which hat went with which beard. Boom, we're done with that. Now all we have to do is cut our beard. Now this is one of the directions you can cut your beard. We'll cut this one and then I will show you the other one as well. I just use little scissors and I'm just making kind of curved triangle shapes. If you have any curved tip scissors, those can work too to get you that curve. I'm just kind of making my own curve up as I cut in and make little triangles, but I know I don't need to cut any farther than this line because then it'll be under the hat. Now sometimes I find it easier to flip my beard over so that I can get that curve. So depending on which hand you cut with, you may find cutting one direction to get a curve a little bit easier than the other. So we'll have a nice little array of little pieces floating around, so be sure and have a garbage can ready. You can make the cuts as big or as small as you want them. Pop out all the little pieces, and we have a beard. Now at this point you have a couple options. You can just leave it as is. You could leave it white. I like to ink the edges, and the other fun thing that you can do is you can run this white piece through an embossing folder, and then you could get a nice embossed look on your beard. So if you had a small pattern available, something swirly, anything like that, those could be fun things that you could do on the beards as well. What we're going to do now, we're going to go ahead and ink the edges of the beard. Just gives it a little character and a little pop. I'm just using vintage photo. That's kind of my go-to for inking. But if you wanted to ink it with another color, that would be perfectly acceptable. You do whatever color fits the gnomes that you are making. So I've just inked those edges, and then I will be able to adhere that together and I will have my base of my first one. So I want to show you other directions that we can go with our hats and our beards. So let's see, I already had these numbered and drawn, so you can see I have a 1 and a 1 on those. And so this is a beard similar to what we just did. The hat's just going the opposite direction. And this one is taking the point of the shape instead of the curved part and adding a beard that way. And then just so you can see the small sizes in comparison. So they don't look as beard-like with them not cut. But once we do get them cut, all we have to do is line them up. So now on some of these, I'm going to have to trim my back down. So this one was 7 and 7. So what I've done is I'm going to put some adhesive on here. I'm going to line that up, and then I have a little bit of white still showing. I'm just going to trim around that so it matches the hat. You can also freehand trim it before you attach it together, because it won't matter too much what the back looks like unless you are trying to, you know, like hang them and want to cover the back completely. So there's one. Just line that one up there. So this one, because of the curve, just popped right behind it there. And that one is going to need to trim. Again, whether or not you need to trim all depends on the direction you want your beard to be going once it's on. Alright, so we have beards going all directions, and then in order to do the noses, I just found went through my punches and found some circles that I had. This one is slightly bigger than this one. I think this is probably a 1/2 inch and this might be maybe a 3/4. I didn't measure it to check, but you could use an oval, any kind of shape you have. I punched it out of a nice sparkly paper that I had. I don't know if you can see it's got glitter on it, so I thought that was fun for the noses. And I did 2 different sizes, like I said. I've already added a pop dot on the back of these just to make it easy. And oh, that one's not attached yet. So we're just going to pop the noses on here. And need a little adhesive on this one. Put him together. Give this guy a nose, and voila. Quick and easy. You can make gnomes of different sizes, different shapes, the way the beards go, the way the hats go. This ended up, the hat's all facing this way, but just depending on how you lay your template down when you're tracing, you could have your hats facing the other way as well. So thanks for watching. I hope you have fun making some gnomes of your own.